So today you're on day 2 of your half and half. Your goals: divide your picture into the part you will keep and the part you will draw, glue the photo to the paper, create a carbon copy, and trace. Finally, you might need to start coloring by finding your dark values first. So if you followed your first steps, you should have found an image like this one. Okay? Obviously, it could be any subject matter that you've chosen, all right? But it should be something that is large, takes up most of the screen, has at least 4 values. I can tell it has 4 values because I see that there's a medium gray, there's a dark gray, there's a light gray, and there's an even lighter gray. Okay, there's clearly many grays here. Next thing I'm going to do then is divide my picture. I want to decide what part I'm going to draw myself, what part I'm going to keep, and where that will be. It's a good idea to take a ruler to make sure you make a straight line. So it's a good idea to think of something that would make sense. Obviously, if you have a face, the most interesting place would be dividing it right down the middle. So I have one eye on each side, part of the nose on each side. It gives me some interest. You don't want to do something like right here. Let's say this is the part I drew. There's nothing here. There's nothing to see. At minimum, you need to have at least half of your picture that you're drawing. Okay? So if I look at mine where I'm going to divide it, it's going to actually be more than half because it's about 10 and a half long, and I'm going to be dividing it at like the 6th. So I'm going to be drawing a little bit more than half. Okay? So I'm going to go right down here, say right down the middle, hold my ruler kind of straight here. Everyone's photo is different, so you're going to have to do the best you can. If yours is a portrait, it's the same idea. You just have it this way, and you divide your line down the middle this way. So here is the half I'm going to keep. Here is the half I'm going to draw. And I could switch it as well. I could draw this part. Whatever side you think is going to be the easiest to draw. Now that I have decided where to divide my picture, I'm going to cut my picture. I'm going to cut all the way up. Alright, so now I have this. Now, because my picture has these white borders, I'm going to go ahead and trim those. I don't really want those on my final piece. That was just the way it came out when it printed. And when you sent it to me, however you sent it to me is how it came out. So if you don't like it, you're going to have to resend it, but I'm not going to be able to get it back to you today. So you're going to have to work on your worksheet or find an image from the magazines. So what I'm doing here is just trimming off those white edges. I really want to have just the photo if possible. All right, so here we have it. Now then, what I'm going to do is get my paper to glue this onto, okay? This is on the white shelves on the top right next to your worksheet basket. In the glue drawer, you'll see a bucket of glue sticks. Do not use a glue bottle. It will make your picture ripply and not very nice. Use a glue stick so that we keep the picture smooth. Okay, I'm going to flip my photo over and just apply some glue around the edges. To all 4 corners, I kind of draw a box and then a couple rows down the middle. Please make sure that you put the caps on tightly. They should snap. And you should have lowered the glue down before you do that so they don't get smashed. Now, one thing I want to do is think about having this fit nicely so it's like there's a frame. All right? So I'm going to put my other picture here and kind of do my best to center this. When you want to center something, you want to make sure that you see 2 sides that look about even. So I'm focusing on here and here. The rest of the picture I can trim if needed as long as I have enough room for my drawing. Okay, so I kind of stuck that corner down, and now I'm going to smooth it, all right? Use your hand, the palm of your hand, to really get that stuck down nicely. It should go on smooth there. Make sure you really push those corners down while your glue is still soft here. All right, so now I have kind of what this is going to look like. To center it later, we can trim this top part here so that it is kind of the same dimension as the frame at the bottom. Now, here are your choices. If you feel confident in your drawing skills, I'm going to set the side I'm going to draw, and I'm going to start drawing the rest of my picture. All right, just by eyeballing, like I would connect the nose. I'd say, okay, I kind of have, the nose comes out to about here, and start to sketch that. When you do this, always draw light. If you feel like you are a little worried about that, I can flip my other side, the loose side that I have not glued down, over. And I can create a carbon copy. And if you remember this from elementary school, okay, carbon copy means I'm going to color this with pencil. And I'm holding the pencil very horizontally, so I get the flat part of the lead to make a larger line, so this goes faster. And I need to color the entire picture where my important parts are. I'm trying to get it as solid as you can. It doesn't need to look pretty. Okay? If you need help, you can hold it up to the light and kind of see if you've gotten enough there. All right, now I have colored the back. Lay it down, set it next to my picture, line them up. If this is going to take you a while, I suggest you tape this down right now in case you don't finish in one day. Now then, making sure it's secure, I take my pencil and I will trace major shapes. Please don't come over here and ask me. I'm going to obviously be busy with people on the wheel. You're going to have to do your best to be independent. So my major shapes are the eye, the nose. I'm tracing the contour or the shape that creates the image, okay? You can even add, for example, I see a lot of hair kind of around the eye. I see this kind of cool white patch that I might want to include. So I'm tracing a little bit of the texture. I have the edge of the mouth here. Generally, if you can't find an edge is going to lie where a dark area meets a light area. I have all the little circles for his whiskers there. I'm just going to color each one of those circles in. You want to make sure you're using about medium to maybe possibly medium hard pressure at this point. Now I'm going to trace his whiskers. I'm going to get some of his fur down here. Anything else that you think is important that you might need help with? Here's some nice edges here. It's kind of like his jawline. Right. Another edge up here. Again, this is just an option if you are thinking, I can't draw this, because we want to worry about value and blending with our tools, not so much just the drawing portion. If I move it aside, you can see what has happened is the lead has smeared onto the back of this paper on the places where I applied pressure by tracing. Okay, so that's given me a nice outline to follow. It at least has helped me position my main points: the eye, the nose, whiskers, jawline. All right, so this is a good idea to help those of you who need it. Nothing wrong with doing that. So now my last goal for the day is to find my dark values first. I know those are always going to be the darkest thing I see, so I can now take my time and kind of retrace some of those things if I need to see a little bit better. It's also a good idea to keep this picture saved on your iPad. Sometimes you can see some details on your iPad that you cannot see on the photo after you have printed it. So that's a good idea too. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of give it a little bit of value. And I'll go back in later and darken some of these values. But I'm just going to try and give myself some boundaries here. If you're ever not sure how it's looking, kind of put them together and give yourself a little bit of a refresher as to what you're doing. Hopefully you already have some guidelines because you either traced them, like I showed you with the carbon copy, or you just freehanded them. Now I'm going to spend a lot of time on texture, and we'll talk about that next time, to get that fur, if you've chosen an animal, or even a person that has long hair, you're always going to have texture you have to describe with your pencil. So we'll talk about that a little more. We'll get into some of the details of how to color the hair and get that texture. For now, just kind of shade in my dark spots, spots that I know I'm going to have be the darkest. This is just kind of showing me my boundaries. This nice little area here that's kind of dark. It's like the hollow of his cheekbone. Okay, so that would kind of be some place to be at the end of day 2, possibly day 3.